Hey guys, so we're going to be talking about 1.7 consecutive integer word problems. So let's just get right in. So the first thing we have to think about, and if you look at these questions, the word consecutive will appear, and so it's a little bit of a signal as to what you need to do. So remember what the word consecutive means, and I'm sure you've heard it before. Consecutive means one right after the other, nice in a row, okay? And then the other thing that's nice about these questions is that they will always be asked as the word integer. So your answer will always be a positive or negative whole number, which is really nice, okay? So your answers will always be pretty, okay? So when you're reading these questions, they'll mention either a consecutive integer, consecutive evens, or consecutive odds. So let's just make a list of consecutive regular integers. So if I'm starting at 3, what's the next consecutive integer that would come after 3? 4, right? And then 5, and it could go so on and so forth. So one right after the other. We can do this with negatives too. So if I do -2, the next consecutive integer would be -1, then 0, and so on and so forth. So since we are in algebra, the type of setup we're going to use for these every single time is going to be pretty straightforward. So what we're going to do is we're going to let our first consecutive integer, and I'm just going to write first CI for first consecutive integer. We're going to call it X. So now what you have to think about is how did I get from 3 to 4? Or how did I get from -2 to -1? I added 1. So to get to my second consecutive integer, I had to take my first one and I had to add 1. Okay? Maybe they're going to say we have 3 consecutive integers. Well, to get to my third consecutive integer, let's see, to get from X to my next one, to get from 3 to 5, I had to add 2. And if you had a fourth, it would be X plus 3 and so on and so forth. So I'll just do these 3 little dots, which means it continues the pattern. All right, not bad. So now let's look at some consecutive even integers. Let me get rid of that guy. All right, so consecutive evens. Well, obviously you have to start with an even. So say I pick 4, okay? What's the next even number that comes? 6, okay? After 6 would be 8, okay? So these are consecutive even integers, okay? So now I'll write first consecutive even to represent it in algebra form, okay? First consecutive even, and I'm gonna say it's X, okay? So pretend my 4 is X. How did I get from 4 to 6? I added 2. So my next consecutive even when you're representing using algebra would be X plus 2, okay? My third consecutive even integer, how did I get from 4 to 8? I added 4, X plus 4. Okay, so when you're doing regular consecutive, you just keep adding 1 each time. When you're doing consecutive evens, X plus 2, X plus 4, the fourth would be X plus, sorry, I got distracted by that, X plus 6, so on and so forth. All right, now consecutive odds, last but not least. So let's see here. First, since it says odd, we need to pick an odd number. So I'll pick 11. What's the next odd number that comes after 11? 13, right? Now let's see who comes after 13, 15. And I can continue this pattern on and on and on, okay? What's weird about these, look, first consecutive odd, we'll start with X. How did I get from X or 11 to 13? I added 2. This makes people feel weird because it's gonna look, and then think about this. How did I get from 11 to 15? To get from 11 to 15, I added 4. So what's weird about these is that the setup for consecutive evens and consecutive odds are the same, see? But the difference will be in your answers. Here you will expect to get an even answer, and obviously here you will expect to get odds. So I think we should just dive in and do these first 2 questions. All right, so these are nice because the second you see consecutive integers, you know your setup. So find 3 consecutive integers. I'm going to stop right there. Since it said consecutive integers, I'm going to say, the first consecutive integer, I need 3. First consecutive integer is X. My second consecutive integer is X plus 1. And my third consecutive integer is X plus 2. I'm taking it straight from the setup up here, see? Okay. Now, this such that is a clue to us that we need to write some form of an equation. All right, so the sum of the first and the third is 40. Sum. All right, sum means add. So I have to do the first, which is x, and the third, which is x plus 2, and it's 40. So this was a pretty easy setup. Now we just have to solve it. So let's see, x plus 2. So x plus x is 2x, plus 2 is equal to 40. Subtracting 2 from both sides, we have 2x equals 38, right? And so when I divide both sides by 2, I've got x is equal to 19. Okay, so I'm done, right? No. And here is why. Because it told us to find all 3 consecutive integers, and I only found the first. Now, what's nice is I know I should have done it right because 19 is an integer. So I got an integer answer, which is nice. So if this is 19, my next guy has to be 20, and my last guy has to be 21. Now look, if we add 19 and 21, do we get 40? Yeah, so I know I did it right. All right, let's do the next one. Okay. 3 sisters, Alexa, Bethany, and Morgan, have ages that are, odd consecutive integers. Okay. Odd consecutive integers. So my setup there is I know I'm going to start with x. For the odd setup, since there's 3 of them, I know I have to do x plus 2. And then my third one's going to be x plus 4. Okay. Alexa is the oldest. So I'm going to write that this is Alexa. And Morgan is the youngest. So this must be Morgan. So in the middle is Bethany. Okay. All right, now let's read this. I'm going to read it first and then I'll translate it. Twice Alexa's age is the same as the sum of Bethany's age and triple Morgan's age. Okay, so here we go. Twice Alexa's age. I'm going to write 2a for now. Twice Alexa's age is the same as is equals. The sum, we know what sum means. That means I have to add 2 things. Bethany's age and triple Morgan's age. Triple means multiply by 3. Okay, so now guys, all you have to do is come in here and substitute. So we know Alexa's age is x plus 4. We know Bethany is represented by x plus 2. And we know I can replace Morgan with plain x. So if I color code these, Alexa.
Oh, hey.
Hey, I'm just recording a video. Sorry,
y'all. So no,
that's okay. I'm sorry.
I'll go into the next
okay,
one.
Thanks. No worries, Sharon. That was Mrs. Messina. This is Bethany. And then last but not least, we've got Morgan. Okay. Things I do awkwardly for you guys. All right, so now you just have to solve this equation, which I would really like for you to do on your own. So go ahead, pause it, solve it, and then let's see what you get. So here's me doing the math. I don't need the parentheses on this right-hand side because there's no subtraction or multiplication, but I did have to distribute here. All right, so I'm left with 2x plus 8 equals 4x plus 2. I'm going to move the x's to the right-hand side. So minus 2x, minus 2x. So I'm left with 2x. Still have the 8 here. Okay, running out of space. Okay, and then I'll subtract 2 over. So I'm left with 6 equals 2x. Divide by 2, I'm left with 3 equals x. Now, let's see. Morgan is 3. Bethany is 3 plus 2, which is 5. And Alexa is 3 plus 4, which is 7. Are these consecutive odd? Yes. Let's just make sure because it did say my answers had to be odd, which is nice, guys. If you don't get an integer or if it doesn't satisfy the scenario here, then we know we didn't do it right. All right? So that is it.